What is up, YouTube? Today is going to be an RTA video, so not similar to what you've been used to in terms of Guild War. We've already reached Emperor with the 56% win rate. Honestly, this would be a lot higher if we didn't get paid to run Rylet first pick for like 30 games in a stream. But regardless, we're not going to bitch. I'm going to try to go over my thought process, reasons why I'm picking certain units at certain stages, and my playstyle, and just kind of doing draft analysis if we lose. So if you guys do enjoy this type of video, please let me know. Any feedback, shorter, longer, more details, whatever you want, let me know so I can do it for you. All right, let's jump into the first battle of today. So the opponent's going to be banning a shoux briseria here, which tells us they're probably going to play some form of like maybe LRK or tank down with Carmen or Destina or something like that. So I'm going to be going with a pretty neutral open with Laya here, since Laya is going to be really strong into units like Lua, units like Monk, but I do pre-ban Monk and DDR, so that's something that you want to pay attention to. But in every match, you always want to pay attention to the pre-bans, right? Now, your response with LRK, which is what we expected based on the pre-bans, right? Shoux is one of the primary counters to LRK. Another way you can spot out if a person wants to play LRK is if they have an AOL pre-ban as well, right? Now, it goes with Destina, which is basically exactly what we said in the very beginning here, right? Now, we want to go for maybe some tempo, just because it doesn't seem like he's really contesting the first turn. So in this game state, we could take something like a Laya, we could take something like a Conqueror Lilius, a lot of different options here, but I think what I'm probably going to want to opt for is probably Conqueror Lilius, we could, yeah, let's go Conqueror Lilius here, and then we want to go for a neutral DPS. So on P3 here, you want to go for neutral DPS, because if I take a tank here, we're going to not really have enough damage, because we're going to take damage on P4 and P5, and we don't want to do that, right? We want to take a neutral DPS here so that we can go util, DPS, and then we have a much better rounded draft, right? So something that's probably pretty strong into them is probably LCB, since there's going to be a bunch of AoE coming in from the LRK. And I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, like, you know, LRK has a you know, you're going to charge up his S3 for no reason, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's fine, right? Because, yes, we are charging them up, but at the same time, their team's going to die when LCB is countering, right? So that's going to be the main factor here. Now, they're going to be taking a LHC on P3 in response to my C. Lilius and LCB. Both are counter units, so pretty good response as a neutral pick on P3 from the right side. And I could take something like, you know, Elvira to shut down the Fighting Spirit, which is going to be my utility. And he comes up with a Ravi. So we're instantly going to go with a force ban here. So anytime you can lock down a force ban on P4, P5, that just means that your P5 is going to go through no matter what. So we know that we can take the Elvira. And now we have free reign to basically take whatever we want into this draft. That's going to give us the best chances of winning. So we want to go for something that's going to be able to let us really just snowball the game out of control. And a unit that I think could probably do that is, I want to say, I was thinking Gala, but at the same time, I'm kind of thinking Rylet, because for Rylet, there isn't actually any ways of stripping my Rylet here for my evasion buff. So Rylet could be a potential option here. And I'm sorry if you guys hear my home phone popping off on the backs, but we're going to go Rylet here. So anytime I personally find that they don't have any way of stripping, you can either take an Airwell on P5 here, or you could take DPS, right? But because if I go Airwell here, they could ban my DPS, and then I basically have no DPS. I'm solo DPS Laya. It's not going to be very fun. So I'm going to take a Rylet here because he has no way of stripping us, and our draft should be pretty well rounded because he has the force ban Elvira. And is ML Ken going to be a force ban for us? So he's running triple Fighting Spirit units. Okay. Triple Fighting Spirit units, which means I could probably... it's either this or this. You know, I might just ban the Soul Weaver. I might ban the Soul Weaver, because I could potentially just one-shot a unit here with my Rylet. So I'm gonna try to go for that play here. And then, yeah, we're good. Alright, so, he has no Destina, so I'm going to go with Conqueror Lilius to S3, S2, maybe even S3, S1 here. And I want to kill the Lionheart, right? So I'm actually going to provoke lock the I'm gonna provoke the LRK here so he can't S3 on opening turn. Well, we got resisted, which sucks. I'm gonna S2 here. Alright, so we're gonna get the CR push for the Rylet, and we're just gonna go for a nuke play onto this LHC. She should be dead here, even through mitigation. Attack but Vigor, pen set. It's just really hard for Lionheart to tank a Rylet, right? So it actually does tank it. Very tanky. Very, very tanky. So I'm actually just gonna finish her off with LCP S3. And this is gonna give our team AoE Vigor, which is gonna set us up really well here. Now, unfortunately, it would be much better if we could save the Laya S2 so that we could actually reset our skills faster and also cleanse attack buff, but that's fine. So he gets the barrier on the LRK, and I'm just going to S1 onto the LRK here, hopefully pull a useful units. Rylet actually goes, which is big. And he's not going to be able to rip S3 to kill anything. I mean, he could rip it on Rylet and just hope he hits and try to bring back the Lionheart, but that's a really low percentage win rate play. So he's going to just S1, go for an S3 on LRK to soften us up, and then go for a Ravi S3 most likely. But that's fine. Okay, he missed. And we actually counter. So double-edged Crescent is actually paying huge dividends. And the LRK actually dies from that as well. We're gonna S1 onto the A-Ravi. It's gonna get CR push, but that's fine. It's actually counter A-Ravi. It's pretty surprising to me. So I could S1 this, or I could S1 this. And I feel inclined to S1 Soulburn. And he's gonna kill my LCB to bring a unit back. I still have Rylet win con, so it's fine. I mean, who knows? Maybe his S3 doesn't even kill since I have Vigor. That might be a bit of a reach, though. Wow. Well, I mean, at this point, the game is basically over, right? I mean, he's not gonna be able to do much at this point. And I'm just gonna S1, pull a dual attack here. Actually pulls the Rylet. Rylet counters. Sorry, Rylet procs S2. Abyssal Euphine cannot kill me first. We actually straight up kill the Euphine too. That's big. So now we get the healing from the Sacred Scythe. And yeah, this guy is in just a really, really, really bad spot. We're just gonna S1 onto this A-Ravi and just probably... Okay, we didn't quite kill, unfortunately, but we're one turn off. Probably goes for the LCB here, but we have the S3 available on the Laya, so he's in a really bad spot. So he's just gonna S1. Yeah, so yeah, at this point it's game over. I get 5 focus, S2. So you see how, like, with Rylet, because he has no way of stripping the evasion, it just gives you a really high chance of winning, and you ban the Destina so that they can't stabilize. You just run them over with aggro, right? So yeah, super, super clean draft, I think, from my end. So let's go over to our second matchup today then. Alright, so right side's going to be banning Knockball AOL here. So AOL is obviously a contest for LRK. Knockball is obviously just a pretty reasonable ban. And since he has banned out AOL, you can go LRK. But the scary thing about having a Euphine open is that they can always cleave you, right? But Candy's still available, Bellion's still available, so I'm not too afraid of playing anti-cleave here. So I'm going to take LRK here. And I could take Lua, I could take Laya, either one is probably fine. Laya covers me for the Lua, so I'm going to take Laya here. And let's see if he goes Zeo Ran here. If he goes Zeo Ran, we're probably going to pivot into something like a Belly and Candy. He goes Candy, okay. So he's taking 2 casino units, and so he's taking all DPS, that's great. So sounds like Elvira is pretty strong here since there's double fighting spirits. And I think something like Biblis would be pretty strong too. I just need a neutral DPS that can fight all of this, right? Something like MLCan, something like LCB, all would be pretty good. I think universally though, I think MLCan is great. I think LCB is great. All of them are good. So I'm probably just gonna go with LCB here as my neutral DPS that addresses all top 3. And then we just need some type of disrupt. So already right now, right? Already Elvira is already like a really big problem for him, right? It's almost a borderline force ban because he's 2 fighting spirit units and he just can't let that through. And he's basically running no cleanse. So what I'm thinking here is probably go, I kind of want to go Basar. Unironically, I want to go Basar. Yeah, it's probably a Basar game. So we go Basar here. Ban Gal so we can't get one shot in case it outspeeds us. On our LRK that is, or Laya since I'm not Aureus. And then we just fight versus everything here. So if he bans Elvira, we unbuffable everything. So he has to ban the Basar, because if we unbuffable the Carmen, he's turbo fucked, right? So now we're in a super good spot. We're in a super good spot because we protect our LCB with the Bastion of Perlucia from our LRK, and we just also have tempo. So he's actually 260. Okay, we're around the same speed. So 260 shoe. He can't get a free S3 off onto our LCB, so he goes for the Laya, which in my mind doesn't really matter that much. Just gonna S1 onto the shoe here. Yeah, actually, the procs L burst, which kind of sucks, but it actually triggers my LCB to counter, which is great. And I'm actually just going to Elvira S3 onto the shoe here. If it's ER, then that sucks, but I do have a little bit of effectiveness on, so I am able to land. And we don't get the death break, which is really unfortunate, but we're just going to drop S3 so that we get that immunity here. And if any of them L burst salvo together or counter, we instantly proc our LCB, right? So I'm actually just going to go S3 onto the Carmen here because we're going to take out the Mitt. We're going to take out the Mitt here. As soon as Yuffie takes a turn, we're going to counter S2. It's going to kill the Carmen, which means now he's not able to... Oh, we actually just kill him here, actually. So we kill the Carmen. Beautiful. And he salvos into a Yuffie S1, which means LCB is just Universe. Yep, so he's just going to S1, which means LCB counters. And pretty much checkmate, right? This guy just picked really bad. He picked 2 casino units and shoe and just, yeah, no utility. So he's pretty much getting punished really hard for it now. And as you can see with all the counters, LRK already has S3 already. So we're ready to rock. He doesn't quite kill the Laya either. Procs are Sigurd. We don't quite kill the shoe. I'm just going to S1. Let's just get her, just finish her off, right? He counters. Laya dies, unfortunately. We're gonna soul burn S1 onto... I guess it doesn't really matter. Just soul burn S1 the Candy. She's dead. And then we're gonna proc blood mana on the Elvira. We still have immortality, so they basically just can't play the game. So you guys will see that, like, you basically can't get checkmate in draft if you're not drafting correctly, right? If you're drafting all damage in P1, P2, P3, like, you just get punished by a disruptor really hard, right? So units like Elvira, units like Basar, like, they just completely shut you down. Yeah, so super quick game, LCB Kingdom. So let's move to our next match then.
The fuck?
Alright, so right side's going to be banning a DDR shoe, which tells us they're probably going to play some form of LRK or just some type of tank draft. He goes Laya first pick. Sure. If I go Lua, that's kind of bozo. But it's still an option. I might actually go for... He took my opening, which is kind of lame. And then my natural response is Sea Lilius Shoe 1-2, but since that's not available, I might just try to do a bit of a different opening then. So let's go Conquer Lilius, and then let's go with... could go AOL here, could go LRK. LRK is super powerful here, given that Shu and DDR are both banned, obviously. He can respond with AOL. If I was him, it's probably AOL Lua here, right? On P1, on P2, P3. Most likely. AOL for sure, since it's the best response into LRK that you can possibly do in the game. And we're going to need to have some neutral DPS on P3 here. So to counter this guy's draft, I'm probably need to draft some injury. And I think Ravi is already really strong here, looking at this draft state. So I could take like a Stene, I could take a... Because if he takes Bellion here, he's going to be trapped, right? Bellion to LRK is not very good. So I actually think Stene is a pretty neutral DPS in this spot. And then I actually think taking something like an Ravi wouldn't be terrible either. And it might be Ravi P5 though. Ravi P4 might be a bit early. And maybe going for some type of utility or cleanse might be a good idea here. And I'm thinking maybe something like a hand guy. I think hand guy is actually not too shabby here. Yeah, let's take hand guy. You could probably do something like a Destina, Hand Guy, just any form of cleanser that can kind of deal with this draft. But since I have Sea Lily's Hand Guy, that's like, you know, quote unquote, like the previous Exodia. And the reason that is the case is because Sea Lilius, if it pulls Hand Guy, it gives infinite CR push. It's just really strong, right? It goes Strays ae-KARINA. Very interesting. Okay. That's a bit strange. Okay. Then I guess I'm gonna go ae-Ravi. I'm gonna go ae-Ravi, and then who do I want to ban? It's one of these two. I think it's probably ae-Leica. I mean, it's probably Strays. Let's just double check our highest HP. My ae-Ravi is higher HP than my LRK. Yeah, I'm gonna go with banning Strays. So he has to ban the Sea Lilius, because if he doesn't, he's gonna die, right? So hopefully we don't die. Now, if she does Soulburn S2, S3, we could just die straight up, but we'll see. So his team, he's gonna be able to delete one, but then how does he win the game from that point? Let's see. It is Keybox from Fleet. So he actually pulls. He could go for Hand Guy. So he does go for Hand Guy. He goes for Hand Guy, and then I guess he's gonna try to silence the ae-Ravi. I can't say I like that play. So the reason why I actually put my standing on the bottom and not on the back for Bastion of Pelucia is because I have damage calculated my standing to live most. I say most, okay? Most ae-Leicas. Not all, but most. So I'm actually just gonna go... Yeah, he's dead. He has to FF because I just win from that point. GG's. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's RTA video. I want to keep it nice and short, under 20 minutes, because I think it's pretty hard to digest a lot of RTA content in one video. So let me know if you guys want me to do like longer, like 30-minute, 25-minute sessions so I can fit more battles in, or do you guys want to just do like, you know, 3 battles at a time, 3-4 battles at a time, and kind of have shorter fights so that, you know, you guys can kind of stay engaged, because I can't really talk through all 8 minutes, right? Some of the fights are just kind of boring, I get roped and things like that. But yeah, it's a new season, and we're doing pretty good this season so far. I think I have a really good read on the meta, so I'm very excited to keep going. And yeah, please leave your feedback in the comments on how we can improve this video so that you can enjoy it easier. And yeah, please like the video, subscribe, and yeah, don't miss the next one. So thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.